Welcome to our YouTube channel, The Stories of Akbar Birbal. Standing in the cold as a gift. One night Akbar and Birbal were having a conversation. Both of them were wrapping themselves in shawls as it was very cold. Even so, Akbar was greatly affected by the cold. Akbar looked at Birbal and said, "Birbal, have you seen the cruelty of this cold? Even though you have a heart that does not fear the enemies, you could not be afraid of this cold. Regardless of this cold, anyone can stand in neck-deep water for a night in Yamuna River. If they stay like that, they can be given 1,000 gold coins as a gift. O king, we can even bring lion hair. But is it normal to stand in the river all night in the shivering cold?" said Birbal. Standing in the cold in the Yamuna River requires no skill, just determination. Tell them to spread the word all over the country. A lot of people will come to participate because they are greedy for money. "Let's see who will win," said Akbar. The king's order was announced throughout the country. The very next day, a young man came to the king and said, "O king, I am ready to stand all night in neck-deep water in the river Yamuna." Akbar looked at the young man in amazement and said, "Get ready for the match tonight." The young man also got ready. Akbar thought it was not normal to stand in the shivering cold and appointed 2 guards to keep an eye on the young man. The young man went down in the river Yamuna with an empty body. He stood in water up to his neck. His body was so shivering and cold that he could not resist. But he counted the 1,000 gold coins that he would get as a gift. When Pudu Tembu came, he was awake all night. It was dawn. Image Body came to a balanced state in Vale, Maine. He came up from the river, happy that he was going to get 1,000 gold coins. The guards took him to the king and told him that the young man stood in water up to his neck all night. Akbar was very surprised. "I admire your determination, young man. How did you stay in the water that night, in the freezing cold? Did you have any kind of support while standing like that?" Akbar said. The young man innocently said, "I spent the night looking at the light of the small lamp that was burning on the top floor of the royal palace." "Young man, I saw that. Now I understand how you managed to stay in the water in the shivering cold. The light of the lamp from the palace has helped you to relieve your cold. You stay in that room all night, so you don't have 1,000 gold coins." The young man went back very disappointed when he did not get the prize money. Birbal finds him and asks what happened. The young man also told everything to Birbal. Birbal consoles him and promises to help him get the prize money. A few days later, Akbar was leaving for hunting. Akbar wanted to take Birbal with him and called the guard and told him to go to Birbal's house and fetch him. Birbal told the guard who came looking for him that he was going to cook and was leaving after eating. Akbar waited for Birbal for a long time. Birbal did not come. The king was very angry and went to Birbal's house to see. Birbal used to put rice in a vessel and pour water on it. He kept the stove 10 feet away from the pot. The wood was burning in the stove. Seeing this, Akbar did not understand anything. He asked Birbal himself, "Birbal, what are you doing?" "Akbar, I am cooking for the government." "Birbal, what's wrong with you? The roll is one-sided. The oven is on one side. How will rice be cooked in it?" Akbar said angrily, "The government will surely cook rice." Birbal said, "When the light of the lamp in the palace gave warmth to the one who was in the water of the Yamuna River, the heat in the stove next to him would not cause the rice in the rice bowl to be boiled," said Birbal. Appreciating Birbal, who made him understand Nasu so much, he called the young man and gave him 1,000 gold coins as mentioned earlier. "Birbal, what are you doing?" "Akbar, I am cooking for the government." "Birbal, what's wrong with you? The roll is one-sided. The oven is on one side. How will rice be cooked in it?" Akbar said angrily, "The government will surely cook rice." Birbal said, "When the light of the lamp in the palace gave warmth to the one who was in the water of the Yamuna River, the heat in the stove next to him would not cause the rice in the rice bowl to be boiled," said Birbal. Appreciating Birbal, who made him understand Nasu so much, he called the young man and gave him 1,000 gold coins as mentioned earlier.